Scores! Stützle, one-timer, scores!
Great save made by Gustafsson.
Right here, what an awesome pass through the slot, onto the stick of Batherson.
Kachuk in tight up, and Steve got scores! Brady Kachuk wins it in overtime for Ottawa.
Welcome to SENS Talk. My name is Brandon, and I am your host. Now, before we get started, please follow us on Twitter at SensTalk_, and our Instagram is SensTalk as well. Go to SeatGeek.com and use promo code SensTalk. You'll save $20 off first purchase. Now, in today's Saturday matinee, the Ottawa Senators took on the New York Rangers, as Shane Pinto will not be in the lineup today. He will be out at least for the next 5 games, including the upcoming road trip due to this shoulder injury. However, the Senators have been saying that this injury does not look serious. However, after these next 5 games, the Senators will reevaluate Shane Pinto. So he will be out for the short term for the next 5 games, but hopefully that's in lieu of a long-term absence. So that is some good news. Once we know more on Shane Pinto, we'll report that to you. Now, taking his spot on the second line, it is Nick Paul starting at the second line center position for the Ottawa Senators. He will have Tim Stützle and Connor Brown as his wingers on that second line. They were fantastic today. I'll discuss them later. Now, the defensive pairings for today's game for Ottawa were the best yet this year. The first pairing was Chabot and Zub. The second was Nick Holden and Nikita Zaitsev. Nick Holden has been Artem Zub light. Nick Holden has been very, very solid, very steady, and today he really steadied down Zaitsev. So that was a great pairing. And then Mete Brown, honestly, good pairing too. They played pretty well today too, especially after Mete's terrible performance last Saturday against the Leafs. He looked pretty good today as well. Now let's get into the game recap. So today, the Ottawa Senators took on the New York Rangers. Now, going into today's game, the Rangers were 3-1, while the Senators were 2-2 after Thursday's loss against the San Jose Sharks. Now, starting in net for the Senators was Matt Murray after a pretty good performance on Thursday. And for the Rangers, it was Alexander Georgiev, who has not been good this year whatsoever. And those struggles for Georgiev continued as 41 seconds in, Nick Paul snipes one to give Ottawa the 1-0 lead. In the defensive zone, Tim Stützle takes a pass, creates great acceleration, and that allows him to get some separation for the Rangers player when entering into the Rangers offensive zone. Even better patience by Tim Stützle, and finesse by him as he sauced the puck beautifully to Nick Paul, who found a beautiful spot, glove side on Georgiev, to give the Senators the 1-0 lead. Now we move on to the second period of play, where there was no scoring in the period, as both teams looked to lock down their defensive games after a wide open first period. Matt Murray made a couple big stops in that second period. Now we move into the third period of play. Ottawa's looking to take a bigger stranglehold in the game, put themselves up by 2. Guess who? Josh Norris does that with about a minute into the third period. Georgiev gives him this goal. The Senators lead 2-0. Now, with less than 10 minutes to go in the game, the Senators look to be in cruise mode. It looks like they're about to earn a strong and well-earned 2 points. However, with less than 10 minutes to go in the game, Nick Paul gets into a fight after some Ranger players were acting reckless, going after some Senator players. I actually applaud Nick Paul for this fight. The Rangers were ridiculous in their dirtiness, frankly. Before that, they were getting a little restless. Somebody had to shut them up. Unfortunately, it had to be Nick Paul, because this sort of screwed up the rest of the lines for DJ Smith for the remainder of the game, practically, as Nick Paul was the second line center for the Ottawa Senators, and him being removed for at least 5 games with about 8 minutes left in the game was a crucial loss to the Ottawa Senators, as right after Parker Kelly gets a penalty, that's another center out. And guess what? On that penalty kill for the Ottawa Senators, the Rangers unfortunately cut the lead to 1, as on a beautiful passing play, Kreider gets in front of the net, tips it in, and then unintentionally knees Matt Murray in the head. Murray goes down, he's in pain, and he gets hurt. Anton Forsberg would have to come into the game, as Matt Murray was sort of helped off, not looking good, and then the first shot that Anton Forsberg faced goes in. The Rangers tied a 2 apiece, and just like that, after a terrible embellishment call on Stützle there too, the game completely just out of hand. After 55 minutes of the Senators dominating, Nick Paul gets into a fight. Parker Kelly takes a stupid penalty, and all of a sudden the Rangers tie it, and then a minute after they tie it, they get the game-winning goal as they win this one 3-2. Barclay Goodrow out in front. I can't say much about Anton Forsberg. He was sitting cold for 55 minutes and was kind of thrust into a terrible situation. But really, he was on the officiating, which we're going to get into later in the video. Inexcusable calls by the officiating tonight. And I don't like to complain about refs often, but today they were atrocious. So let's get into the game notes. I got a lot to say about that and more. So firstly, the defensive pairings tonight for the Ottawa Senators were fantastic. No real defensive lapses, very good symmetry on all three pairings, and these are frankly the most optimal pairings for success for the Ottawa Senators this season with what they've got. Michael Delzato, God bless him. He seems like a great locker room guy. This guy seems like a beauty. It seems like all the core players especially love this guy, but he seems more like a depth defenseman. And he's a guy that could definitely step in once in a while. But I think when you have Shabbat and Zub, and we're going to talk about Zub because he had a great game, but you have that pairing, which is honestly, in my opinion, elite. That second pairing of Holden and Zaitsev, hardworking pairing, pretty steady pairing thanks to Holden. And then that third pairing, Mete, and of course Josh Brown. Brown has actually been decently solid for most of the season. Some mistakes, of course. He's a bottom pairing defenseman. That's what's going to happen. But overall, he's been solid. And then, of course, Victor Mete provides a little bit of offense, some neutral zone passing abilities there too. So honestly, the defensive pairings that we saw today anyways are pretty optimal and will likely lead to the most success possible from the current defensive corps. Now, of course, I would love to call up Eric Brandstrom, but it seems like the Senators are not keen on him being in the lineup. They don't see a spot for him, and I do expect a trade eventually. I'm not happy about that, but that just seems to be the way we're trending with him. Now, Stützle tonight, once again, was fantastic as he showed flashes on numerous occasions of brilliance. In my draft preview video a couple years back on Tim Stützle, before the Sens even drafted him, I compared Tim Stützle to Patrick Kane, and at the time, you can go back and watch the video, be my guest. In that video, I said, I think this may be the most skilled player in the entire draft. So far, so good. Listen, Tim Stützle tonight is continuing to prove my point correct, and many of your points correct too. I'm sure most of you guys watching this felt the same way. This kid is a dynamic talent, and for a forward to create this many offensive chances and every single play, he looks brilliant up there. Sort of reminds me, eerily anyways, of Erik Karlsson when he was sort of just breaking out into the league. Every single play, you see these little bits of brilliance, flashes of brilliance by such a raw but talented player. That's what Tim Stützle is. And for a forward to be doing that, defensemen, you see that a lot because they have more ability to be more dynamic from the blue line. But to see a forward do it on repeat every single shift, it's not a few times a game. It's every single shift with this kid. The future is so bright for Tim Stützle. He's going to start scoring those goals. Got an assist today, of course, on the Nick Paul goal. But overall, this kid is something special. And at the age of 19, he already looks like a superstar in the league. So once these points start going in, once these goals start going in, watch out National Hockey League because Tim Stützle will not be able to be stopped, I don't think. This kid is an unreal talent. Now, other than the fight late in the game that disjointed DJ Smith's lines, Nick Paul was frankly pretty good at the second line position for center. That line with Tim Stützle, like I just mentioned, and of course Connor Brown was buzzing today. And Nick Paul got that goal. Overall, he did not look overmatched whatsoever. I think Nick Paul fits in perfectly in that second line center role, especially if the Shane Pinto injury is short term. Now, Artem Zub, like I mentioned before in this video, the defensive pairings were great, but Artem Zub in this game began to pinch into the offensive zone more. He had a few great scoring chances too. This was easily his best game as an Ottawa Senator, and I love seeing Zub join the offensive part of the game a little bit too. We've seen his hands. We can see it's very evident that Artem Zub is the ultimate wild card when it comes to offensive skills, so I'd love to see him get involved into the offense a little more. We even saw him on the power play for a little bit too, so definitely keep an eye on that in regards to him trying to get more offense. Now, unfortunately, Matt Murray got injured, but he was fantastic today. He made some 10-bell stops and was tracking the puck pretty well throughout the game. It was a shame he got hurt. And the latest update on his current condition was that he was, in fact, hurt from Chris Kreider's knee. There's no update on his condition. Now, Chris Kreider did go up to Brady Tkachuk after that hit to apologize. So I don't want anyone saying that Chris Kreider intentionally hurt Matt Murray, even though, yes, Chris Kreider has a history of injuring goaltenders such as Craig Anderson, Carey Price, and more in his past. But I don't think it was intentional. What was intentional, though, was that boarding with 10 seconds to go on Josh Norris. Completely reckless hit, stupid hit, dangerous hit. Thankfully, Josh Norris got up and he's fine. But that should have been a 5-minute penalty and a game misconduct for Chris Kreider. Just a stupid hit, dangerous hit that late in the game. So I just wanted to put that in there, too, because I don't think Chris Kreider intentionally hurt Matt Murray, but I think that hit on Josh Norris was intentionally dangerous, and I'm not a fan of that whatsoever. Stuff like that needs to be cleaned up and taken out of the game. Now, the refs tonight were absolutely abysmal. In the first period, there was a clear icing that they missed, kind of screwed over the Sens for center positioning, or face-off positioning anyways. Of course, that Tim Stützle embellishment with about 4 minutes to go in the third period really screwed things up for the Sounders. And overall, the refs missed a lot today. They've also missed a lot throughout the other games. Against San Jose, the Sharks got away with a lot. It's a league-wide issue. It's not just the Sounders, so there's no bias. I've seen people saying the refs are trying to rig the games. Get out of here with that stupidity. But at the end of the day, the NHL has to fix the officiating problem. The officiating has been terrible, and it's not just because of little offside goals or whatever. These are calls that are real-time calls that are either outlandish, the call, or calls that should have been made that were clearly, for some reason, not called. So the officiating needs to... I don't know what needs to be done. I'm no expert, obviously, but I am a hockey fan and I see it with my two eyes. The officiating has been terrible and it needs to be fixed. I forgot to mention that the Rangers had too many men on the ice for 20 to 30 seconds, as you can see here, and the refs completely missed it. These aren't snap decision calls. These aren't by the inch calls. These are calls that need to be made and are completely missed by the NHL officiating. It needs to be fixed, and it needs to be fixed now. And besides that, let's get to the Sens Talk Star of the Night, voted by you, the fans. The Sens Talk Star of the Night, voted by you, the fans, with over 45% of the vote, was goaltender Matt Murray, as he stopped 22 of 23 shots tonight. He was on pace to get that shutout until that goal in the last 5 minutes. A fantastic game, a few big stops by Matt Murray, and hopefully he's okay. It would be a damn shame to honestly see him get injured long-term again. He's fought back hard. He's had a good season so far, and it would be a shame to see him out long-term, so hopefully he's okay. So besides that, thank you all for watching. The Senators unfortunately lose to the New York Rangers 3-2 in a game that is controversial, to say the least, as the Senators now fall to 2-3 on the season. Now, the next Sens game is on Monday at 7 o'clock Eastern Time versus the Washington Capitals in Ottawa. So I'll see you all Monday night. Besides that, thank you all for watching. Appreciate the support. Make sure to like this video, share this really cool stuff, and click that big red button down there, make it gray, and subscribe to us. Most importantly of all, turn the notification bell on to get notified whenever we upload a new video. Besides that, thank you all for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Go Sens, go.